K-bruvs and cis. The dating market is horrible, and let me explain why. So recently I got back into dating apps, unfortunately. I say it in that way, but that's just because I've always had this love-hate relationship with dating apps, and I'm sure many of you who have had experience with dating apps, you can understand what I mean by the it's a love-hate relationship with dating apps, because sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. Well, let's start with why dating apps aren't the best, per se. There's pros and cons to it, but let's talk about the pros. So, the pros of dating apps, it's, you're able to meet hundreds of people on the dating app versus, going to the bar or going to a cafe and you meet someone there and then you talk to them kind of thing. Instead of that, you can, just find someone on the phone and just swipe right, and then if you match, you're good. And I guess there's a pro in that sense of, you're able to meet as many people as you'd like. Kind of. But that's kind of it. There's kind of like not much else about the pros of dating apps. Like, sure, you get to see like what's in your city and like who's there and like what the market is like. Like, oh wow, she's pretty good looking, or kind of thing. And really, I think there's just, okay, let's say in a general sense, dating apps are more good than bad, but let's talk about the cons as well. So I think there are many cons of using a dating app, and one would be the unrealistic expectations when you find someone and match someone and date someone from a dating app, because this is for like most people who've been watching, corn and stuff. You develop this unrealistic expectation from girls, and so applying what you learned from those videos into like a date kind of thing, or like even messaging, makes a huge impact on how you proceed with your conversations in general. And so, yeah, unrealistic expectations. Two, these apps are usually against guys, if that makes sense. Let me explain. So there are way more guys on dating apps versus girls on dating apps. And so that's why there's such a huge difference in terms of how many likes a guy can get versus a girl. So I would say most guys don't get that many matches to begin with. I don't know why. Maybe it's an algorithm thing. Maybe it's the app trying to keep you on the app longer. It's kind of like a drug. It's like you get that one hit of like, oh wow, I got matched once, and then there's like all these hundreds of girls that you may have swiped on or not, and you just don't see them again. And so I think they work against men. 3, most girls just want the high level guy, if that makes sense. And so that creates what's the word? I forgot the word. But essentially, like, if you have that percentage of girls trying to go for high level guys, then again, maybe that's like what, top 1%, maybe top 5 even, depending on your town. But then what about like the other 99/95% of dudes? Like, does that mean they have to up their game? I think, well, everyone has to up their game in general, but now that there's such a deficit, of like girls just trying to find like those 95%, the girls understand, I just want to aim for someone who's higher level than me, who adds value in my life. And so they look at the top 1%, they look at the top 5% of guys who are successful or like, fairly well put together. And so now there's a huge deficit of guys wanting to like date these girls now, because these girls are aiming for the high level guys. And so now we have a deficit we have the fish formula. If you've used that in math, it helps. And now that we're on that segue, I want to talk about how and or why guys and girls have no game, including myself. Like I know sometimes I could be great with game, and others I'm purposely just dumpster, just trying it out, just risking it out kind of thing. But that's the beauty of like the dating apps as well. You're able to experiment how a certain response can help in certain situations. That might not be the case for some apps, but because it's mainly just a like and then hopefully you get matched. But that is purely based on looks, to be honest. Like we're all judgmental. We all judge the person that we see on the app just on the first photo. If the one photo is bad, you're gone, and that can be decided in less than a second, depending on how picky you are, or if you're just I don't know. I'm quite selective in my opinion, but that's also a good thing, and let me explain why. Dating apps in general don't like it when you just swipe right all the time or swipe left all the time. You actually have to be selective of like who you like and don't like, and so just slow down, cowboy. Just slow down. Just actually like, oh, if you like them, go through their bio kind of thing. Great. Now, I know that's you spending more time on the app, and that's like going against what I've been saying, like dating apps are kind of lame. But if you're going to use them, at least take your time on actually choosing who you potentially want to go out and see. But yeah, back to game. I've been talking to the local baristas here. I go to a cafe in the area, and they're all attractive. They're all wonderful girls and guys. And so I asked them, hey, what's the dating market like? And they've all told me that it's horrible. Why is it horrible? Let's elaborate. But first, I need some water. Okay, let's elaborate. Why is the dating market so horrible right now? We've already talked about how girls are aiming for the high level guys, and so then there's a deficit for the normal guys, you could say, because now these girls are focusing on those guys, and these guys aren't getting any attention at all from just the general populace of women. So that's already one issue. Second, I think the pandemic also had I shouldn't say the pandemic. The cough. The cough had a significant impact on everyone's social skills in general. So if you're already introverted, that's already kind of, sure that you're happy, you're at home at the time, but at the same time, you have been severely limited by social interactions. And so, especially for the extroverted ones, I wouldn't say I'm introverted. I would say I'm a selective intro/extro person. But for those who are extroverted, it's like part of your life is going out and talking to people and getting to know them. And so I think everyone's social skills have become rusty, and that also applies through text. Even though maybe you were at home and you've been texting people and like maybe you're on the apps, I think there is a huge ramp of users on dating apps since the cough happened. So well, I just realized I have gum in my mouth. So there's that. And people have become more socially awkward, if that makes sense, due to the cough, not being able to exercise social skills, how to talk to someone in person. I think there's a lot of guys who, I think more than ever, struggle to talk to a girl in person. And maybe that's because they're awkward, they haven't had enough practice, maybe they're just genuinely socially awkward kind of thing. There's a lot of things that can apply to being, a person who's not able to talk and or text or to keep a conversation going. Like, yeah, there's just, Or some guys who don't have game. And back to the baristas thing. So I asked them, yeah, dating market, yeah, they said it's all horrible. What are the reasons why? Well, one of the girls said, well, guys aren't just taught how to move on from just the texting phase. And that's a huge issue for most dudes, I would say, is you get stuck texting, just getting to know them, when really what you should have accomplished within your first maybe 10 text is, hey, I like you. Not I like you, but like, maybe that's too straightforward because you haven't even met this person, but just say, hey, I think you're cool. Maybe let's hang out. Here's my number, kind of thing. And guess what? Now you moved away from the dating app, and that's what you should be doing, because guess what? There's hundreds of other dudes in this girl's DMs. And so your conversation gets easily drowned out by hundreds of other dudes trying to slide in her DMs. And so if you're able to get their number, respectfully, if you're able to get their number, then you can text on their personal phone number. And then now you have stood out from hundreds of other guys. Now, this could be accomplished by not using dating apps to begin with. This could just be you going up to a girl and say, hey, I think you're really nice. I'd like for us to, chat more. I'd like to get to know you more. Here's my number, kind of thing. Or can I get your number? I don't know. You can experiment, see what works better. You asking for their number, or you just giving your number to them. I don't know. I haven't tried that yet, and I'm curious to see how that works. But I'll keep you guys on that at some point. Yeah, get off dating app as soon as you can. Once you've established a match, that's one thing. So then you're not just texting all the time. And that was one of the main issues that was brought up by one of the girls there. You should not be texting too long. You should be establishing a time to meet in person, because that's how everything happens. It happens in person. That's how you really get to know someone. Even though it may be a first date kind of thing, that's just better than texting for a week and trying to get the lay of the land, when really you could have just accomplished that in one date, to be honest. And then if it goes well, maybe there's a second date. But how you text is a huge issue in itself, because again, one of the baristas said some guys just don't know how to text. They either go with the one text kitty BS kind of thing, or they just go freaking Hail Mary style. It's like a huge paragraph of like, oh my, you're so beautiful, and I like your shoes, and just like, bro, come on, chill out for a second. Like, let's chill. Here's some good examples of how you can not do those things. Based on their profile, there should be something that you can pull out from their profile to talk about. That's just a general base idea in general. I said general twice. But there's always something to pick up on their photos, unless they absolutely have no personality. Maybe you shouldn't be talking to them to begin with, but there has to be something that you can pull from their profile to talk about, whether it be where they got that photo, what is their favorite car based on this car photo that they have, what else? But yeah, just briefly talking about something that you've pulled from their profile, talking about it not for too long, maybe within the first 3 to 5 messages or so, and then you can establish, hey, can we move this conversation to whatever? And boom, you're good, you're great. You've pulled yourself out of that dating app from all of the hundreds of other dudes trying to get in the DMs and stuff. You've made yourself stand out. Good job. But that being said, it doesn't stop there. Texting onwards, you don't want to text forever. You want to be able to set up the date right away. Not right away as in hey, let's hang out in the next 30 minutes. Just more like, hey, and make the initiation too. Don't wait for them to make it. Just make it. That way it shows that you have initiative and you can make decisions, and you're not just some kind of pushover of oh yeah, maybe we should go here, or oh, what do you think? No, just make the decision. It makes it easier for both parties. it just shows that you have a form of leadership in that way, and like you're able to take initiative. And so I think that's another issue that some guys have is they text for too long, and then the girl just loses, you just lose interest to the girl, and it's like they've already moved on from you, and so you've already lost the game. You just need to move on and like learn from that mistake, and do it better with the next person you match with, if you match with them, because that's the thing about dating apps. They want to keep you on those apps, and they're very smart, the apps and the algorithms. They'll keep you on those apps for a long time. Yeah, and then again, they'll want you to purchase their plus membership subscription thing. And does that help? Maybe you should look at your profile first, like get someone to look at it and give it some critique, and then maybe sure you can see if that helps. But otherwise, I think most people have accomplished some good matches without using the paid services. But that's the thing too, at least as a business for dating apps, they need money to survive. And so there's also this great saying of, if the product is free, you are the product. So they're using your data and all that fun stuff. That's just how it is. Yeah, just don't send dumpster text messages. Like, I think a good example, the baristas, they showed me like this message they got from someone on Hinge, and she's Asian, and she's fairly attractive. But the what is it? The message? The message said, "You turn brown sugar into white sugar." And in my head, I'm like, what? And she was like, yeah. And in my head, I'm still like, guys talk like this? I don't know. I've been, I've sent some bad texts before. Like, I didn't know how to text before, but again, that takes time and experience. And if you have good friends as well, they're able to critique on how you text. Being able to hold a conversation, that's great. Depending on how long you text, maybe you shouldn't be texting too long. The point of hanging out with someone is to hang out with them in person and not just text all the time. Like, you don't need to text someone all the time. You should have some things to do. Like, if you have to clean your dishes, go do your dishes. Don't just wait for your girl to text you. Oh no, she hasn't replied to me in 20 minutes. What's wrong? Bro, people have lives. You need to chill, okay? Like, they don't have to text you right away. And even then, how's your texting game? And like, are you even asking questions? Are they good questions to begin with? Yeah, there's just the dating market is something else. It's changed, that's for sure. And it's constantly changing. Man. Alright, that's enough of that. Get good. Get better. Let's get her.